So what is this crazy Korean that's living in the US doing right now? The first game he tempos me, the second game he plays double hedge before pool, and then he tempos me again. So he's probably going to play macro, right?
We'll see, guys. We'll see. The next map is going to be Frost Lab Edition. This is the Lone Star Clash number 3, the 4th quarterfinal. Thank you so much for joining us if you're watching online. And thank you so much for being in the audience. Remember, text your friends, tell them to come over to the venue because we got some awesome StarCraft 2 all day long. And we have potentially a final game here in the quarterfinals. But, of course, as I introduce the players in the bottom left-hand location, present your red Zerg player who is up 2-1. If he wins this, he secures a spot in the semifinals of the Lone Star Clash. He is viOLet. And his opponent in the top right-hand location, making a fight out of it. Doesn't want to go down 3-0, and he's trying to make a comeback happen. Can he follow it through? He's your Blue Protoss player, Seed.
See dropping the pylon in his main base, and of course, besides a lot of prize money in this tournament, something else that's on the line is WCS points. You know, this is a WCS event because everyone had the option to qualify for this tournament. We invited a bunch of players, but a bunch of players qualified as well. And of course, you know, if you have open qualifiers and your tournament has a certain prize pool and prestige to it, then the WCS points will be rewarded to the winner of these tournaments, and that's exactly what's going on over here. And you know what's interesting is that if viOLet wins this series, the entire top 4 of this tournament is competing in WCS America.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Now that I think about it. There you go. There's a fun fact from Rotterdam.
Yeah, fun facts. Super fun.
You know, something else at stake is pride, of course. Not everyone can call themselves a champion of Lone Star Clash. Actually, only one person has been able to do that, Stefano. But he's out of this tournament, so, of course, 5 players left. And everything is on the line, Championship Sunday.
Yeah, we are going to crown another Lone Ranger at the end of the day.
So
wouldn't it be cool if Chuck Norris could like do the prize ceremony for us?
Isn't he doing that? I thought.
Oh, did I spoil
that?
I apologize. I must say I like what's going on over here, Alex. See, despite all the craziness that viOLet has thrown at him in the previous games, still shows that he's not too afraid. He's like, all right, you tried to tempo me twice. I don't think you're going to do it again. I am again going for a Nexus first with no scout. viOLet is actually drone scouting this time. Perhaps he's the one that's a little worried. But he also opened up with a hatchery before pool. I guess that's why he's drone scouting. He didn't even drop the spawning pool yet. So both players opening up very, very economically. 2 hatch before pool, Nexus first, no scout. You know, viOLet says, I too like to live dangerously.
Showing a little bit of respect here for each other. You know, they are cross positions. This is a very large map, so not too surprising at all to see this type of openings for these 2 players. And still, though, spawning pull down for viOLet, of course, he scouted how fast the Nexus one was, so really no reason to rush that. Just now getting that spawning pull down. But yeah, very economic openings, and we're gonna have to see. I feel like Seed, I'm trying to, it's just the type of openings we've been seeing from him have been just so different as the series has kind of proceeded along. So I don't necessarily know what to expect here.
Me neither, because this is game 4 in the best of 5, and then normally you have a pretty real idea of how the players like to approach this matchup and what is their distinctive playstyle, or like what is their go-to build. But I feel that all 3 games were kind of unique and bizarre in a way that, you know, Seed hasn't really revealed his real hand yet of how he likes to play. Maybe on Waystation, I'm feeling that this game is going to be a little more similar to Waystation. You know, he's going to try to go up to 3 bases with some Blink Stalkers and then a Robo play, which is a very solid way to play PvZ, and it's also a lot easier to put it off on Frost than it is on Waystation, as the 3rd bases are just easy to defend. viOLet has shown us in the past that he likes swarm modes in this matchup, but he's not the type of player that, you know, makes 22 swarm modes and then a lot of static defenses and pulls units in. He's the type of player that likes to overcome a scary phase in the game with 10 to 12 swarm modes and then gets ready to transition out of it, whether to Brood Lords or to Ultralisk or anything. He's a very fun ZVP player to watch that always tries to make something happen.
Yeah, it's such an exciting player, and he has so many builds in his pockets. Both these guys do. I mean, they play all the time, and of course, they have many practice partners or friends that they trade ideas with. So We'll see. Well, we'll see what kind of strategies end up being employed by these guys. I mean, so far, again, all we're seeing is pretty standard stuff. Two Zealots trying to be brave. They're trying to win the game for the home team. And we got a probe lurking over to that third base location. So might go for a faster third.
That is ridiculously quick, by the way.
Yeah.
That's like, you're playing economic. That probably means that your extractors are going to be quite late. A little bit of a micro battle going on over here. Will these Zealots be able to take out every single Zergling? Yeah, Seed is doing this very well so far.
Decent micro, look at that. Not even losing a Zealot. Don't speak too soon, Axel's toss, okay. Still a Zealot lost. Very nice trading. Units lost is 8-0 in favor of the Protoss, so a perfect game so far by the Protoss player.
Very quick to the base. I wonder if that Overlord even saw it. No, the Overlord actually went to the main before he could possibly see it. Roach 1 going down at the 7-minute mark. I wouldn't be too surprised. A small hiccup over there, but everything should be all right. I wouldn't be too surprised if viOLet is going to try to do something about this base, but you know, some of these pro players are so good at defending these really quick 3 bases that is kind of what they want. They're like, yeah, I'm going up to 3 bases really quick. Please make a lot of roaches and make a lot of Zerglings, and please try to break me. Because they know the moment the Zerg doesn't, they were stuck around, you know, like anything between 50-something and 60 drones. And that means that their economy, their follow-up is not going to be all that scary anymore. So we will see.
Provided
really interesting scenario right now.
Provided you can defend decently. Obviously, if you lose an Estus or something.
But you should, as I said, like some of these guys were so good at it that you shouldn't do this build if you don't feel confident in defending a lot of aggression.
Absolutely. So we don't see viOLet necessarily going for the high progression. We still see him making those drones in production. Layer is going to get finished up. You know, very cookie cutter type play here. No real decisions to go for some super heavy aggression as we see Blink on the way. We got upgrades going on for both these players. And as far as big decisions are concerned,
I'm surprised he's not scouting yet. If I was Seed, I would definitely be sending a hallucination across the map right now. This is just that type in the facing game. You want to know, like, is my opponent making units, or is he macroing up? Is he going up to 4 bases and maybe even rushing into Hive? Infestation Pit might go down almost immediately. Come on, Seed, scout. I know you want to do it.
Hallucinate.
Scout. He refuses. I think he just feels like
Colossus.
He's like, you know what, I'm just going to sit back and I want to keep all the energy for my sentry so I can drop enough force fields if I have to. But in all honesty, with 6 or 7 sentries, you should scout.
Come on, Seed. All right. He's not feeling it. He's not feeling it, Kevin.
Nope. He's just not doing it. He's trying to make us look bad.
Yes.
He's succeeding in doing so.
He is.
Clueless guesses. Hashtag lost passion.
viOLet hears you, though. He's doing some scouting of his own. Scouting some additional gateways. Now, we're not seeing any progression into a Robo just yet, or a Stargate, which is mildly interesting to me. I mean, he's
going to add a Robo real soon, I think. He kind of has to. Anything else would be surprising, unless he decides to drop a Templar Archives before. Or he's just going to go for a really big Blink Stalker attack of 2 bases. But I still feel that, you know, eventually you want to get a Robo because you need observers or maybe a Warp Prism and whatnot. Seed is currently at 61 probes. He didn't take his 5th and 6th gas, so he's pretty damn serious about this.
Yeah. Super serious. I mean, he's doing this right behind +2. Of course, viOLet sees a great scout there, and the path that's being taken here is pretty interesting from Seed, going all the way across the right side of the map, down to the bottom, and it's going to loop around over to the left-hand side. viOLet reacting very quickly, trying to move some spine calls over this location. Now it's a race. Seed trying to get over here as fast as he possibly can. Got to be careful. Got to be careful on that bridge.
I'm not sure how this is going to go. I mean, I feel that viOLet should be able to get out more than enough Hydras to defend against this. He had a super economy. He's up to 70 drones right now, which is just a very good number. There are a couple of roaches over here on the high ground as well. That's a very cute move by viOLet.
I like
That's really annoying for Seed.
Yeah, I like that move. Now, this is super invested for Seed here. He is attributing all of his resources to this attack. Mothership Core is not with the army, so you can't necessarily recall. Look out for the Time Warps too. Not going to deploy those. Decent force fields, actually great force fields there from Seed. Mothership Core actually taken out here. So Seed's army is kind of committed. There is a back way to get out. He's just going to blink over that hatchery and take it out and probably sneak out the back. Overall, taking out a hatchery.
He's taking out a hatchery, but we have to ask ourselves the classic question: at what cost?
Yeah, right.
5 sentries did go down, the Mothership Core did go down. He also temporarily lost mining over here on the top side of the map. So as cool as this was, like, this was not even a saturated base. This was just a base that was there that could have eventually turned into a macro hatch. He did drop the Robo at the start of this attack, but it's very late. Like, Colossus are nowhere near to be seen. There are 18 Hydralisks on the map. Oh, these Stalkers are misrallied.
Interception by the offense, defense, whatever.
Well,
Stalkers have an alternate route to get home.
that sentry just really wanted to go out with a force field. I'm very worried for C-Dax, so he doesn't really have anything that's good against Hydras. He doesn't have force fields anymore. His Blink Stalkers are all over the place. He needs some fantastic Blink Stalker micro over here.
+2 Blink Stalkers versus the Hydras. Seed showing some pretty nice micro here. Has Stalkers all on the high ground. And look at this. viOLet actually going to be retreating. A Blink forward, interesting decision. viOLet going to turn around and say, okay, hello. And the Link's coming in to help out, pecking away at those Stalkers. Don't want them getting their shields back. But overall, viOLet is not going to be able to deal a death blow here. Retreating, working on that +2 missile upgrade as well as the Hydra speed upgrade. Getting that 4th back up, and there we see
the Swarmos.
I was waiting for that.
That's all we have to say, just the Swarmos.
Lone Star Clash, home of the Swarmos.
Yes, that's a very good way to summon up this weekend.
Yes.
But like I said before, viOLet not the type of player to just really sit back and make a crazy amount of static defenses and Vipers and then just like creep his way forward. He's making Swarmos if he feels he wants to buy time, if he feels that if I keep making Roaches and Hydras right now, there is a chance that it is not going to work. I kind of felt that it could have worked because he had like 2,300 minerals, 1,100 gas. Right. That's why that attack in the end wasn't as strong as I thought it was going to be, because he just didn't want to reinforce. He was waiting, he's like, what shall I do? He's like,
Swarmos.
When in doubt, go Swarmos.
When in doubt, go Swarmos, of course.
Because that means that you can think a little bit longer about it.
All right, production's telling me to put my microphone in my mouth, so I'm gonna oblige. Okay, so this is a huge map, right? So Swarmos, there's a lot of there's a lot of different attack paths that the Protoss can take to kind of avoid that locust rally point, I think. No?
Yes and no. There's reasonable creep spread. I have a hard time. I think that C should be very careful. He has a couple of force wheels. He will zone out most of the Hydras, so he can take out these Zerglings. But in the end of the day, you know, killing a bunch of Zerglings, it is nice. It's better than nothing, but it's also not what you're truly looking for. I don't know what was that. A couple of misread Stalkers, I guess. Templar Archives is going down, Fort Base is going down, and Extended Thermal Lens is being researched. We can really prepare ourselves or engage ourselves right now for a real nice macro PvZ.
Yeah.
Seed did not die to any sort of counterattack. viOLet, we know, is not the type of player that's going to sit back forever on Swarmos. But where is he going to go with all that money? He has Hive. Vipers are being produced right now. I wonder if we're going to see a Spire or an Ultralisk Cavern in the near future. He doesn't really have melee upgrades. No, he doesn't have any good upgrades at all. So I guess it's just going to be Roach, Hydra, Viper, Swarmos.
Trying to pounce on this army in the middle of the map, but Seed is going to be able to get out of the last core again.
How many Mothership cores have died? That's the second one.
2 Mothership cores.
If Johan was watching, he would smile right now. Like Roddy and his lost Mothership cores.
I wonder, can he kill this Nexus? He's got to be careful. You don't want to overcommit and then lose all your units.
I don't think he can, because there is a Colossus, I believe, out on the map. It's 2 Colossus even already, so no, those Hydras are not going to be able to kill that Nexus. These Zealots are being a little annoying. That Walk Prism is going to fall, so it's only 4 Zealots for now. We do
also, in the third, I think there's some aggression there.
Yeah, there are a couple of Zealots running around as well, taking out static defenses. Seed is playing this pretty well. viOLet is going to commit to this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to work in the long run because of these Colossus. If these Colossus were not here, where are those Vipers though? Do we have Vipers? Yes, they are over here. Okay, if these Colossus get abducted, then we're looking at a different ball game. However, if he's able to feed back the Vipers, these Zealots are doing serious work. The greatest Spider has been spotted. viOLet is very committed to this.
Be careful, the Stalker's actually blinking forward. Storms blanketing on top of the Hydras. Those are going to die incredibly fast. Seed doing a great job utilizing these the terrain, I think, just positioning his army so perfectly. And I think he's getting the better trades here against viOLet.
He definitely is. He was doing some serious work on the other side of the map. He picked up quite a few drones. He still has Zealots in the main. He has killed 38 drones throughout this entire game. That's almost remarkable, I'd say. 12 more drones are on the way, but you know, this great Aspire, normally you hope as a Zerg player that you can show up with Brood Lords when he doesn't really have Tempest yet. Right now, Seed is confident to be out on the map, to apply pressure. And there is indeed a fleet backing going, and he already has 2 Stargates. He has a ridiculous amount of minerals. Seed is playing very well. We might actually go into a game 5.
Yeah, I mean, he's up 161 to 147 in supply. Just these engagements are going so heavily in his favor. Might lose a couple Stalkers here. Blinking, trying to evade there. At the same time, he's kind of poking in the middle of the map as well. But we also see 13 Corruptors, 16 Corruptors on the way for viOLet. But as you said, Seed has that Tempest transition ready to go.
What I would like to see right now is those Corruptors just go in immediately, try to reset the Colossus count. Even if he loses a few Corruptors, it's okay. If he completely resets the Colossus count, he also knows that Seed is not going to attack him for a long time. If you're just going to sit back and make a bunch of Brood Lords, well, you know, these guys, they're pretty good against Brood Lords.
Yes, they are.
How many shots does it take to kill a Brood Lord, Alex?
3?
It is 3.
It's 3, yeah.
Isn't that ridiculous?
They evaporate them.
Isn't that beautiful?
Depending on your perspective, Zerg players are like, ah, that hurts.
I find it beautiful. After the Wings of Liberty, suffer days that Protoss went through, we deserve to 3-shot Brood Lords.
The only thing that might feel better is like storming 50 mutas or something and killing them all.
Yeah, that's very satisfying
That's
too.
a great
or just
feeling,
some Archon shots, you know.
Yeah, Archon shots too. Just I can name the number of times mutas have destroyed my games and made me cry. Anyway, enough about my sad emotional stories.
A couple of gateway units are active on the south side of the map. Right now, I almost see this as Seed just trying to free up some supply. Stalkers are always kind of useful, so I wouldn't sacrifice those, and Seed feels the same way. Again, he's going to try to run on the left side. It would be awesome if you had like some observers here, so every time he does this, he can actually reset the creep as well. A, that's going to make it harder for viOLet to see this attack coming in the future, and B, it's just awesome.
Oh,
that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, this is guerrilla warfare tactics. Dip and dodging. You can do that with Blink Stalkers. You jump in, do some damage, blink out, keep your opponent on their toes. He's adding in those Tempests. And these guys are both gonna start approaching max. At this point, Seed adding in those Tempests definitely is very aware of those Corruptors and the potential they have to change in the Brood Lords.
You know, if I was viOLet, I wouldn't even make Brood Lords.
Yeah, I agree. Well, what does he know about the Tempests?
Well, you're not going to kill them with Brood Lords.
Sure.
If I was viOLet, I would just make a lot of static defenses. I would make Vipers, Swarmos, and a lot of Corruptors, just like a lot of them, and try to spread your Corruptors like your Sorky.
Yes.
Just be like, spirits of Sorky, assemble. Make me split my Corruptors the way you do. And then just try to pick off Colossus and Tempest. That's pretty much the only thing you can do.
Using the Vipers to abduct, bring them into the Corruptors. Yeah, I agree with that. We have a little bit of a skirmish over here. Zealots and Stalkers counter to this third base. Seed has been so good and so active about really trying to punish these additional expansions, trying to keep viOLet all over the place. You know, really utilizing the mobility of those Stalkers, the ability to warp in those Zealots close to his opponent's bases with those proxy-ish pylons. And viOLet is honestly having a bit of a headache dealing with this harassment, I think.
I think we're really showing where. Well, that's a reasonable Fongo. He's going to catch a couple of these Stalkers, but I think it's really obvious right now where Seed excels, where Seed's strength is as a Protoss player, as a Stalker player in general. If he gets to this phase in the game, he is pretty damn well aware of what he has to do. Make sure that, you know, creep spread won't go out of control. Make sure that viOLet doesn't go up to 5 or 6 bases. He just does all the right things right now. He's playing this out very well. His mid-game decisions, or sometimes even early-game decisions, are questionable, but the last 5-6 minutes in this game, I think he has played beautifully.
Oh, and speaking of beautiful, look at that death ball, one might call it. So many Tempests and Colossi there marching across the map, and Seed has decided it is time to get some engagements going. Of course, a lot of this obviously is going to come down to the micro now that these players have you know, very solid economies and very solid army compositions. It's going to be like, all right, where are we going to engage? How are my fingers on the spell casting hotkeys?
We're going to see so many Tempests of Seed. This is going to be insane. Tempest, of course, only 4 supplies, something that some people even forgot. And it only takes 60 seconds to produce a Tempest. This thing is just beautiful. You have Chrono Boosted, you have a Tempest in 30 seconds.
And Seed definitely taking advantage of that, man. 3 Stargates at a time. That's a lot of Tempests. Meanwhile, Stalker's still getting on here. This is great play, honestly, from Seed. As far as workers killed throughout this game, 51. That is bonkers. And Seed doing a great job with that, actually committing those Stalkers down to the low ground, trying to take down the Queen. Hydra's finally going to clean this up, unless they can blink out of there. No, they don't have high ground vision, so they can't get back up. But overall, I think he's okay with that.
Yeah, no, I think he's freeing up supply. That means more Tempest. I think eventually some Void Rays would be really useful as well for Seed. I mean, why not? Void Rays are awesome against Corruptors. Tempest can trade reasonably well as long as they get some shots off and they are protected by Archons and Storm as well. Like, this is a terrifying Protoss army, one way or the other.
Yes.
I am not sure how viOLet is supposed to deal with this.
All right, viOLet sees him. He knows exactly what he's going up against, and now he's either shivering in fear or coming up with a plan.
No!
Hydras, you do not want to go in that location. What did you just make? You made a bunch of something. Okay, 12 corruptors.
Yeah. Fungo will land on, actually, absolutely nothing. Right now, viOLet finally seeing that main army in the middle of the map. He's like, maybe I can get away with an expand. He's making a ridiculous amount of corruptors. I like that. He's also getting +2. I believe the Tempest already have +2. They don't really have massive armor upgrades. So a couple of abducts, maybe a good fungo, and then just like corruptors, avoiding storms and Archon shots is all that viOLet has to do.
Absolutely right.
Doesn't that sound easy, Axel?
It sounds incredibly easy.
If you're not Sorky right now, you're shivering by just listening to those words. Sorky is like, oh, that sounds like Sunday morning to me. It's my first game of the day.
Hey, it's Sunday afternoon right now here in Austin. And Sunday morning somewhere. So, viOLet, certainly capable. But again, this is an absolutely terrifying arm for the Bell player. Up top, Ducks trying to get a couple Tempests, only gets one. And there's just so many photon balls of light cascading across this map. And squishing to death these Zerg units.
16 Tempests.
Gosh. All right.
Just having the time of their life right now.
Okay, here we go. Watch out for the High Templars, storms and feedbacks.
Oh, that is a really ridiculous Fungo Grove, though. If he would have only been able to send one more Fungo in, it would have been hard, of course, because those High Templars were ready to feedback. Taking out 6 or 7 High Templars is always nice, because if you look at the gas bank, Seed doesn't have like an insane amount of gas. So, you know, if he's able to kill 4 or 5 High Templars, that is pretty massive.
They're both being really patient here. You know, Seed obviously has a very slow unit composition, so when its army's this big and this expensive, you don't want to mess up. So you're going to be incredibly patient. Make sure you make the precise movements. You don't want to make any mistakes at this point, because it could mean the difference between winning and losing. It could mean the difference between staying alive in Lone Star Clash 3 and getting knocked out, which is what is at stake here for the Protoss player Seed. So not surprised at all to see him kind of playing a little bit back, letting viOLet come forward to him. And I think he has a couple observers here to make sure to spot the creep, limit the creep tumors. He also has a Dark Shrine, so I'm wondering when he's going to start producing those Dark Templars to try to harass those extra bases.
Yeah, he could always do that, but right now, you know, there's not really a whole lot to harass. You might be able to pick up a couple of buildings. Fungo Grove does land on a few of these Tempests, but this is not the moment where viOLet really wants to commit to a fight. Like, what viOLet needs is a perfect wave of Locusts, zoning out those High Templars, and then trying to go for it. Fungo does land, but Storms will land on these Corruptors.
Great Storms underneath those Corruptors. High Templars get some good shots off. Meanwhile, Locusts are not going to do much, as Seed is kiting those weak units away and making sure none of those die. And viOLet's going to have to back up, reconsider. Is he going to counter here? No, that would be...
No, he might just siege his Swarmos over here to put some pressure on that base. I'm not sure if he ever scouted it. Yes, he did. He knows that the base is there. It is well done.
And he could just drop them, send a Locust Wave, and retreat, or make that decision as far as how many Locusts are required. Meanwhile, we have some Zealots and a Dark Templar come down to this base at the bottom. Nothing too important here. Only some gas mining. We got a Hydrogen and Infestation Pit there, though, which will be a little bit annoying to have to remake.
Yep. Yeah, viOLet doesn't have that much money either, and especially now after losing those 2 bases. I think this is pretty much his last mining base. There's quite some money left over here, so it's not like he's broke. The Infestation Pit will fall, and the Hydrolus then is going to fall as well.
Wow.
But at the same time, he took out the Nexus. That's something.
But meanwhile, look at that blue blob going to the bottom left. Yes, that is Protoss destruction on the way to viOLet's side of the map. And he's looking at this army, and he's like, okay, how do I deal with this? There's a good fungal.
Yeah, excellent fungal.
That's a good start. Throw down some Infested Terrans. Storms going underneath those Corruptors. Seed not messing around at all. So many Storms going down. But viOLet's micro is going to be good here. Going to be sound. Going to retreat those. Yeah,
viOLet baited out a lot of Storms there. He didn't really commit, but he still took out a lot of damage, or he took a lot of damage on these Corruptors. He's making more and more and more Corruptors. Another storm is going to land on these Corruptors. More storms going down. These Colossus are really exposed right now. All Colossus will fall, but there should still be enough Tempest to clean this up, right?
I would think so, yeah. I think there's definitely enough Tempest here. And there's the GG, well played. Seed, wow, very methodical, very late game minded there. Getting